Call a meeting order for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
So motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We have an agenda. Iowa County FY25 proposed tax levy public hearing. We'll start out with, was there any written comments?
No written comments.
Okay, now public, one at a time.
I want to know how much tax money do we get off wind turbines? How is it divided up? Exactly where it's all going and who's all getting it and all that stuff. Because of the conversation last year now, I've been in conversation since I have a wind turbine, everyone wants to know where we're going, and I don't know.
Hey Kevin, could you have everybody announce themselves?
Oh, sorry.
If I'm not there.
I'm Tom McGarry, from Victor.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
So 23-24, we got $5,800 out of the windmills. For 24-25, we'll get $839,524. And that's all being TIF'd at the time, which means it puts it in our hands. We put it on roads and bridges in that area, replacing bridges and roads in the area that's affected.
You got 800 some thousand
We will get
for this coming year.
This coming year.
this coming year,
And you got how much last year?
5,800.
They drove it that far back?
It goes out so far, then it progresses up.
Okay.
Each year we'll get a little more.
There's a max on that too, isn't it? And we're stationaries.
We can produce that, probably, can't we? The chart and get it to people if they want it, what the projections are.
There's a spreadsheet somewhere, I think.
I believe there is a spreadsheet that determines what it is going up to, is it 20 years?
Where do you find that?
We,
20,
yeah, we can produce a spreadsheet. There's a spreadsheet that shows the projected dollars
Okay.
for the next 20
I don't have
years.
it in front of me. I might have it on my desk. I'm not for sure. You can find it. It's downstairs.
Is he downstairs here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the money that, first, how many years we
Were we out 6 years?
we're on 6 years, so we opted to put it into a TIF area where those turbines are at so that we can provide enhanced roads, bridges for that specific area of the county.
We can only use it for what's considered economic development. So roads and bridges are considered economic development. The state doesn't consider schools economic development. Sounds dumb, but we can't just give it to the schools.
And we can't use it to deduct and lower taxes.
So each time we get a project, let's see, the guy that explained it's kind of like a spider web. So there's a windmill here, and then we have to leave that windmill. Everything has to be interconnecting. So we go down the road right away until we get to the project that we want to work on. And then we include that into the TIF area. So if we want to do, I can't remember where you live, sorry. So if let's say your windmill or the windmills in that area, if we wanted to fix a road in the southeast corner, it would be very hard to do it to wind a TIF area all the way across the county.
So that's why the bridge on my farm gets replaced, because I'm just a couple thousand feet away from the wind turbine.
Well, it's not just your turbines pay for them. They're in a
Right.
they're in a collective.
Okay. Culverts and bridges and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What road are you on?
D Avenue,
D Avenue?
Hartford Township. It's a bridge next year they're gonna replace.
And I don't think that was determined to be replaced because there was a turbine there.
Right.
We're gonna be able to use funds from that turbine. because
According to what I
that
heard, it's farm to market money, state money, federal money, and wind turbine money. But I don't know for what percent or how much, and I don't know what the estimated cost is of the bridge, because it's just out for bid right now. But it's already been surveyed and marked for anybody that wants to look at it.
Because I don't know if you want to say it, if I'm saying this correctly, the money is commingled, because we can use a certain percent of money on this, a certain percent on that. We can't just use all that on one project.
Right.
So it helps pay for it collectively, taking them out of different pots, pulling in, makes the best resource. We can use our money, at the best way we can possible.
When we signed up for them, they said a percent of that tower in that school district will go to the school. And last week, the superintendent said, we're not getting a dime out of it. We won't get a dime out of it.
I don't think we ever said there was
No,
going to
when
be
we
a school.
signed up, everybody would come around and all that stuff. It was in the paper and all this stuff, we get a percent, so. But I don't know who printed what, who said it, but I know the third party is a lying party, they can say anything they want. That's state law there. So that's why everybody started telling lies about it. Tell you what you wanted to hear. That's been a law like that for a long time.
So we tipped it so we could direct the money which way we want it to go, so we can put it in roads and bridges improvements.
Okay. Well, certain conversations
Have
out
100%, do we, Kevin?
Oh, say that again.
We didn't take 100%, isn't some of it going, a little bit going back to the schools, and they'll get it in the Pebble end, I know that much too.
I think it's 25%.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
when did that start?
Well, you won't notice that until next year also, because like I said, out of 1,500, you're not going to notice anything this year. Next year with the 380,
839.
839. So it'd be 25% of that.
So they aren't gonna lower property taxes with extra down the road then, or
I can't say that.
down the road?
Yeah, I'm not going to say what somebody else is going to do.
The benefit of it though is that instead of trying to leverage, out of the fund, we're able to use this money that would normally be budgeted by the engineer out of his budget, but now we have this money, we realize this in advance, so that's why we tipped it in advance to start these projects. And we did have to take a bond out, we did have to do that, because my line of thinking was, let's go ahead and get it started before these projects continue to rise. We've seen tremendous amount of cost of materials, and so let's get it started now, and so it doesn't cost so much in the future.
Well, a couple of conversations I had in the last year and a half, with some of the guys were saying, well, we don't want to see all this windmill money go. Somebody built a Taj Mahal that's only being used for an hour a month. That's what a lot of people didn't want to see. They want to see it with the roads and bridges and benefits of picking up the infrastructure and all that stuff before you start building fancy buildings.
And that's where it's designated
Where it's
to.
going. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The only thing that I can think of right now, no, we didn't do that either with the pool. We did that with the hotel multi, didn't we?
Mhm.
Yeah. We were going to do the pool, but then we did it in a different direction. Because we could have donated toward that by interconnect and all, but we didn't do that either. We used hotel motel. We gave a donation toward that because they needed that to leverage for a grant. We had to be included in order for them to get a bigger grant.
How long do you anticipate this to be available to complete the bridge projects in the county as a whole?
I think we have 20 years.
20 years.
20 years. 20 years is our TIF project.
20 years?
Mhm.
He's probably, what is he averaging, 3 to 4 bridges a year probably? Bridges and culverts?
It all depends on the size of the bridge.
Yeah, it just depends. I've only been on a year, but we've been aggressive about repairing these bridges because I think they've probably been neglected.
So
I talked with an engineer, and he said, next year, my bridge and 2 culverts for sure are going to get done. He said, I don't know what other projects on top of that.
because you got to be careful, because say, for example, I'm going to point at people so don't get offended. Let's say your bridge goes out and it's just washed away.
Right.
Somebody else is going to get pushed back a little farther so we can get yours right back in.
I believe the St. John's Church Road's got some TIF money involved with it too, doesn't it?
I don't remember that.
I think it does.
Resurface.
That's going to be resurfaced next year's plan. So that little short stretch there from St. John's Church out to the highway, I'm pretty sure it's got some TIF money to it.
Where's St. John's Church?
Out by Victor there.
Oh, South Victor?
Yeah,
Back out the
yeah.
country.
Yep.
We even finished that blacktop south of the door exit. We went 2 miles down to Millersburg.
That's on next year's too,
Next year.
but that's not TIF money because it's not.
That's needed.
Hey, thanks. I like to hear that. That's
What
Lord.
are you gonna do next east-west building?
That's 3 or 4 years out yet. It's on the plan. So
The pot's only so big. Because with, like, for the M Avenue, we could only afford to go that far that year. The next year, this year, we're gonna go the rest of the way into Marengo. If you've been fortunate enough to drive on that road, there's not.
Kind of hard with some of these semis, you start driving down there, some of the roads fall apart, and you wonder, which way do I go?
yeah. Tell me, I live on H Avenue. I know for a fact.
And some of these projects develop because of alternate grants as well, like the M Avenue, we got a grant on that because we widened it, correct?
Yeah, we got a grant to,
To widen it.
addition to
The
it, to
shoulders?
widen the shoulders, make it a little wider and safer. But there's certain areas it's really hard to do things because nobody wants, I mean, I get it, nobody wants to give up their ground for easements. And we're not into eminent domaining, or I'm not. The only, like I say, I'll point at you again, I'm terrible at it. So let's say we put a bigger bridge in for you, we might have to, if you don't want to sell some little land in order to put the bridge in.
Now you're gonna argue.
Well, there are some people that do argue with us, most people don't because they want the bridge.
I want the bridge too.
A lot of times it's like a temporary easement, so they put construction equipment and stuff alongside what they build it. And then when they're done after, unfortunately, a lot of times it takes a whole crop year to get it, all the junk back out of there, and it's back to you.
That was a question I had, how was we gonna take it out 1st of May and put it in by 1st of October, and be out all year? The 650-foot drive is only gonna be 7.5 mile detour, so. He said it's gonna talk, take it out end of June, early July, and have it done by the end of August. This is once they get it out, they can,
They
the
go,
roads are completely closed, there'll be no drive.
if you're watching it, it goes slow, but if you're not, it goes faster than you think.
If I want to cross it, it'll be slow.
Yep, that's what I mean, if you're watching it, it goes slow.
Construction never gets done quick enough.
A lot
It's always a pain while it's going on, but it'll be nice when it's done.
of it's weather dependent.
Yeah. You drop this year, rain next year.
How many years we've been saying it for quite a few years in a row now, haven't we?
Our equipment's growing faster than our bridges. The equipment we're using out there is growing faster than our bridges, so.
It is.
And the roads weren't designed for that equipment. I mean, the weight loads and stuff that people put on them now. So we're trying to adapt the best we can.
This bridge is put in right up Interstate 80. Back in the 60s.
So it's still a wood bridge.
Well, they knocked the bridge out, but it's Interstate 80, and they put another double decker. And then when we got Interstate done and going, they ripped it out, put this concrete bridge in. Well, then when winter came out, said, we didn't cross that, nothing with more than a dozer. So that's when they put in Margaret.
Yeah, because we have guys go out every year to inspect the bridge. We have a commercial firm that inspects all the bridges for safety.
We had 45 or 30, now it's down to 10, so.
There must be something major wrong. There must be a sidewall or something that's kicking out. I'm not a bridge expert. I just know when they say don't cross it, don't.
I'm not either, I just know they don't fall in, they're good.
Okay, sorry. Next.
Well, I'd like to speak. My name is Sean McLeod. How you doing, Al?
Sean, good to see you.
Abby, could you hear that?
What was the last name?
McLeod, Sean McLeod, Victor.
This is a little bit, it's off topic to an extent, but I had two issues I wanted to talk with you, and I'm not here to be disagreeable, I'm not even going to be a tax person say, oh, my taxes are too high or that. I have two issues. One is I would like to see a countywide, Iowa countywide noise abatement. Specifically to quiet down, not farm equipment, but pickups without mufflers, cars without mufflers, and jake brakes going off at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning. I live on a very busy highway, Highway 6 and 21, and it's very noisy. And I wondered if there's anything you could do. I called the DOT about it, and they said, well, what do you want us to do about it? And I knew right then, I would probably get more out of talking to a fence post than talking to the person on the phone. And one issue. And the second issue is, would you please come and get all of your Iowa County's cats? I have 12 cats. And every cat has been strayed on the property or has been a kitten of another cat. And it's costing me $700 a year to feed these cats because I like animals. The reason I haven't come before the board before this time, 2 weeks ago, I feed this one cat. She's old. She doesn't get much. And the toms have literally chewed her ear off. And I fed her and walked in the house, and no sooner did I get in the house off the porch, a knock came to the door, and who was there? A sheriff's deputy. I'm here because we have a report you're abusing animals. The person who delivered the package saw that cat's ear and turned me in as an animal abuser. And that was how I signed the death warrant over the cat on that property. But I don't shoot cats.
It only takes 65 days.
My wife is having a spay day tomorrow at the Williamsburg Vet Clinic on Friday, so she gets rid of a lot of them right there.
I had 4 dumped off the day before the snowstorm in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 5 just show up my farm randomly. I have no idea.
3
where
out
they
of
came
4
from.
have been to the vet.
Yeah.
Before I even got it.
So,
Somebody's, one was a house cat.
so, I mean, I understand your problem, but what do you want us to do with your cats? You won't like my solution. What do you want me to do with your cats? I've never had this come up before, so I'll take that off.
Well, first of all, again, they're not my cats. That, in my opinion, belong to the county.
If you don't feed them, won't they leave?
You know, that's a good question. I had someone say, well, don't feed them, they leave. So the cats are on the property and they're starving to death.
Oh, you've got the ones you want to keep too.
No, I don't have any of my ones.
Oh, none of these are yours.
None of them.
Oh.
I never went out after cats.
Wow, you've got a way bigger soul than I do.
Well, the point being, I would then be accused of being an animal abuser because I have starving cats. And I also feed the cats to keep them out of the pheasants and rabbits and birds, and et cetera. We had a pretty good pheasant crop this last year, and we're hoping to build it up more.
You're lucky I've got like 1. So on to your first problem with the noise. You live down there by the intersection, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 6 and 21 north.
So I can check with the sheriff to see if we can put like I don't know if we have the right to put no Jake brake noises, but I don't know how you fix the mufflers.
Okay,
Well, that's gonna be state highways.
yeah.
That's
that would be
state
a
highway.
state highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 and 6 is state
I'm not against Jake bricks. I've driven semi over
John, we had
Harley's
that same
Canyon.
issue on 151 with the sheriffs.
With the Jake brakes?
And I know why they use the Jake brakes, or I think they do.
No, I know,
Better
it's-
fuel mileage,
Saves on their brakes,
and it saves on the brakes, exactly, and it's an expense.
but you don't like it when it's next to your house. Because we've had we did it out here on M Avenue for people, but that's our road. I guess we forgot, well, that's not our road. Out by you.
I mean, it's tough enough to make a living as a truck driver, and it's a tough job. I said, I've been to the East Coast and the West Coast of semis. It's not something I really enjoy doing, but it's something I did. And even if you had an ordinance, like ordinance 30 where during certain times of the day, you can use your vehicle. Like say from 7 in the morning till 7 at night.
But I don't know if we have any authority over that road. so-
That's why I came to ask. I don't know that you can do anything. But,
If you get like a general noise abatement, then you're talking grain bins, tractors,
That's what I mean. You get,
outdoor concerts,
Yeah. Exactly, that's the problem. I understand that and I am sympathetic to that.
I just don't know if we can select it down to
To a
a
certain.
certain noise.
Is there a county ordinance regarding mufflers?
there's a state law.
State law.
So they should have mufflers.
It's pretty,
They don't in there.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough to enforce, you know. I was a state trooper for 31 years. It's, you know, if you hear it, yeah, you know, it's, but that's only just one of the problems with the muffler. You're still talking noise from other different things as well.
Right.
I don't know what we can do, Sean.
I don't think you can do anything. I just have to put up with it.
You could just take them cats up to DeSchmidt's house.
And we, my brother.
You're on speaker here, Sean.
My brother raises a lot of sweet corn, and we have a lot of tunes, and he traps it, live traps it, and he takes them to timbers. It can be very devastating. And we always joke with Jim DeSmith, who has early crops. Brian says, well, I'm going to bring them up and dump it at your place. So we only eat this sweet corn.
Well, you both have good sweet corn.
So thank you very much. I'll have to bring it this week.
Is there any other comments?
I have a comment about the tax increase.
Okay.
So we moved here, Debbie Spence with Northwest of Moringa. We moved here from Marshall County. We're excited because your levy rate was less, but due to the increased valuations and increases in the levy rates, our taxes are going up $1,000 in 2 years. My husband's worked hard, and for 20 years we have saved to buy our dream home, which this is. He hopes to retire in several years, but there's a real concern of getting taxed on our home. You know, even leaving the levy rate as it is, there would have been an increase in income next year due to the rollbacks. So raising the rate also in combination, the tax rate is outgrowing the pace of population growth plus inflation. It's outpacing that. And I think that's unreasonable. I mean, everybody's had to cut back. We all, you know, everything's going up, as you said, the cost of getting roads repaired, getting bridges repaired is going up. We're facing property tax increases. Inflation for gas and groceries is just crazy. But I guess I want to know why is it more important for you to have our money than for us to keep our money?
May I take this, Kevin?
Yep.
So maybe it was said earlier, are you in the rural or are you in an incorporated part of the county?
We're rural.
Okay, so, this is Adamant, obviously, and I absolutely agree, about property taxes and things like that. And I felt like this year we've done a pretty good job on controlling some of that. One thing to keep in mind is your valuation on your home probably did go up, but with the rollback across the county, we lost over $2.5 million in valuation total. So 1.5% of that, I'm sure you're talking about the general or the rural services levies. Obviously, general stayed the same. Supplemental went up by a skosh, and rural went up by a skosh. And the rural services fund overall went up, I think like 5.3%. 1.5% was recapturing from that valuation that we lost due to the state rollback. And then the other part of that was due to part of that is due to the sheriff's office and our law enforcement. With the back of the blue law, we comply with certain salary requirements for the sheriff. And now that we have a law enforcement union, we have multiple employees that are tied to the sheriff's salary. And so a big chunk of what you're seeing in that increase is due to us following the back of the blue law.
Wouldn't the rollback though, wouldn't that increase taxes anyway? Wouldn't that increase?
The rollback takes down valuation. So the state went through, statewide and said, okay, this is our total valuation growth, and this has always been their mechanism of controlling property taxes to some extent. They take it down and they say, hey, your evaluation might have went up by, 10 million, but you're only going to get 500,000. Because this year the rollback was like 48%, and like typically in the past it's in that 40%. I think actually the greatest was it 56% this year?
I believe so.
Yeah, it went up by like 8%. They decreased our valuation by 8% compared to year to year, like rollback factor, I guess.
I thought the rollback decreased, meaning we pay on a higher value,
No.
No,
the increase.
you roll back your value.
Right, but if we're rolling
So
it
the more
back,
you roll back,
46
the
is
less valuation you're gonna have for us to tax on.
So we have to change the levy in order to maintain our same amount of services that we're giving.
Well, according to your effective rate though, even if you left it the same, you still would have had an increase.
No, you wouldn't, because of the decreased valuation due to the rollback. The actual expenses for the county only went up by like 4%, what I wanna say, maybe even 3.5. So the actual, like what we're spending more, in the actual property tax ask is about that mark. But the issue is with the rollback, the levy rates did increase to try to cover some of that loss in valuation.
The state mandated the rollback, and the state's also mandating the back to blue wall. But the state's not offering to give us any additional funding to help capture some of this issue. So now a lot of this onus is coming back on the county.
They mandate what we have to do, but they don't backfill it.
Right. And then, but with all-time high property assessments, isn't that offsetting some of this also?
They did
I
offset
mean,
some
the
of
fact
it.
that we're paying $1,000 more in 2 years, that's, I think that's pretty substantial.
I agree, I don't know your case specifically. Did you change anything in the house? Did you remodel
We
it?
bought it.
But when you
Do you know what
bought,
house prices are right
but
now?
when you bought it, I don't want to know, because. What?
Nothing.
So if you bought it back then, you're paying on taxes on the old valuation. Once you bought it, you set the new value for the valuation. So it's gonna be taxed upon, and probably your value is gonna be brought up to more closer to your sale price. I'm guessing you paid substantial more than what is assessed at when you bought it.
We paid more, I would say substantially more, yeah.
So there's some of the catch up there too, because
Right.
you're always paying in the rear.
Right.
Usually residential assessments are about 80% of the actual valuation of the property.
And the state will bring equalizations because they want you between 95 and 105, I think it's supposed to be.
Well, and I think, having your property assessed higher is a good thing as far as your,
If you want to sell, when you go to sell it or whatever, right?
but,
Not many people realize that.
well, but then also the levy should drop. If everybody was paying at what their properties were truly worth, then one would expect the levy rate to drop. I think the issue is most people don't see that happen. We see property values increasing and levy rates also increasing.
But I
So
mean,
people don't want their values raised.
The rollback increased though. So the states, you can explain it better than that.
I get the rollback factor.
So,
But that's not accounting for as much as what property values are increasing every time a property sells.
right.
So.
Yeah, that's the premise behind the rollback, is to account for that, so it's not, the state's way of trying to prevent an open-ended checkbook, essentially. And, like I said, that is why, that's part of the reason why the levy rates increase this year, but the other part is also about 4% increase in overall expenses, which for a year like we've had with inflation and, like I said, the back to blue law and all the other stuff that we've had in the county, I feel personally, and I think the rest of the board feels the same way, that we did a pretty good job at 4% total increase in expenses.
because we're not
I mean,
saying,
if you look at our numbers, I've done the math, what we raise in property taxes doesn't even come close to doing a payroll for a year, okay? So giving a raise to the employees, especially, 12-16% for the terrace office, and to only come in at 4% increase total in property tax ask, wasn't too bad in my eyes. And obviously, we always have more work to do. There's more ways to save money, and I'm going to continue to do that. But for this year, I felt like that was a pretty good budget that we set forth.
We tried.
with the-
And, we even went back before we finalized the budget to every department and said, listen, you've got to peel it down. Nothing, no carryover. It's not a spend it if you got it deal. If you don't need it, you not spend it. And we really pushed back with our departments, and our departments all work well with us to try to work on that
I
as well.
appreciate that. I mean,
And, you know, the backup blue law, it is what it is, and you know what? I wouldn't want to be out there putting my head out on the line every day. These guys need compensated. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world. It's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it's harder and harder to get law enforcement employees qualified, good ones, and it's something we're gonna have to do, and I'm for it. We need to continue to support them.
Everybody wants somebody to show up if you have a problem.
Exactly.
It's just like all our other services we provide, you know, we want that, you know, if we're hurt, we're sick, or so we want that ambulance to come pick us up right away. So we really talked a lot about that in our meetings. If we are gonna cut, where do we cut? And how's that gonna affect our citizens? You know, that's a tough decision where, you know, do we cut an ambulance out of it? So, okay, Southeast Iowa County might not get an ambulance, you know, for an hour or something if we had to do something like that. So we have to take the whole county into consideration. Same way as the sheriff. If we elected to get rid of a deputy, what's the response time's gonna be, you know,
And I'm
things
sure-
like that.
I'm sure everybody waited long enough in the snowstorm for the maintainer to go by.
Oh, we couldn't have gotten out, it was 4 days.
Yeah, I was 4 days also.
12, 14-hour days in, and if you ever see pictures of them, what they did, just ramming in the snow piles, you'd say, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, we had plenty, we couldn't get out. We couldn't get anybody to the house. If we had an emergency, we'd have been stuck. We couldn't get out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that situation.
Yeah, I think there's certainly, but we have snowmobiles lined up in case for stuff like that.
We considered that.
To go back to your tax question, is there not a cap? Didn't Liz state that there's a cap once you're 65? Isn't there something about that with your?
They're giving an exemption,
An exemption.
but
There's an exemption, but there's no
decreases
cap.
it's so puny that it's,
It's really not noticeable.
But
yeah. And
there
it's
is something there that reduces the amount of tax. you
35, I
pay.
think I believe it's $3,500 off your assessed value, which
Okay.
amounts to like $150.
Yeah,
And, you know, like I said, the thing is, you know, it's not that because we were able to afford a nicer home, we have more money, we're frugal. I mean, we lived in conditions most people would not want to live in for 20 years, so we could save our money and buy this house. And now the concern is, are we gonna get taxed out of it? You know, we can only afford so much a month, especially once he retires.
I'm probably in the same boat you are.
And,
So
yeah, so
I
you've
get it.
got, you know, it's like, okay, so say there's a bike path. County has to pay for this bike path, and so they assess based on property values. Well, just because we live in a better house doesn't mean we're using the bike path, whereas somebody in a lesser value house is paying less. You know, it seems there's no end to trying to get the money.
What we can control is the internal costs of the county. We can't control what the state shuffles the deck and hands to us. So I'm in the same boat you are, trust me. I'm 64 and I'm retiring in 2 months and I'm quite scared, but
Oh, it's
you
no,
do
but,
what you're gonna do.
well, $1,000, I mean, it's not even just a couple hundred, it's $1,000 in 2 years, that's substantial.
So I don't know what we can do on that. We're trying.
Check with
Well,
you.
it's not just that either. I mean, you're paying more for milk, you're paying more for
Right,
meat, you're paying, I mean, it's,
well, and the school surtax went up, so there's more there. It's just constantly, you know, paying out, and it's,
Abby, you would probably know better with the levy rates that we have this year compared to the last 10 years. There's been some higher and some lower, hasn't there?
Yes, definitely.
So, I mean, I
It's gonna
just,
fluctuate, but property taxes have not done anything but increase, obviously, in the last 10 years. I mean, you can go on the Iowa Tax Relief website or the Department of Management website for that too.
that's what I'm saying, they're outpacing the rate of population growth plus inflation, property taxes are up. I mean, Iowa's the 10th highest tax in the nation. And it's like, I have a friend in Tennessee, his home's worth $500,000, he pays $1,300 a year in taxes. Yeah, and no state income tax.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, I don't know how they do that because we have bills and we have to figure out a way how we're gonna pay these
I
bills.
wonder what their sales tax is.
It's the same as ours, it's 7%.
7%?
Yeah. They tax everything, but it's 7%.
We also have a bigger population, larger municipality in the metropolitan area, and the rural areas are a lot more sparser like they are in western Iowa. So that's probably how they get by on some of that.
Well, gentlemen, education is going to be the downfall in our equation, representing our county, I believe. When our governor wants to give us a six-figure salary and doesn't have a balanced budget for the past 2 years for education to the school districts and wants to double the salary of the teachers, who's going to domino? Who's going to flip the bill, friends?
We are, you and me.
Is it coming back to us as a county, having to enforce this and representing our 9 school districts in Iowa County that are rural, small school districts versus the major cities? That's my concern, gentlemen. I'm here to help and support you. But, you know, we got to stick together. The buck's got to stop somewhere.
There seems to be a continual push from the state down. Continual. And I'm really not, I'm not happy with the situation either.
Our children need the resources, the support staff in the school system to educate the children. I'm here for the hope and for the children of tomorrow. I represented Clear Creek, Amana, Iowa Valley, all our school districts here in Iowa County in the 1990s on the school boards.
I forgot, you didn't announce who you are.
Sorry, Kevin, Carla Ale, Shealy, Summerman. I was dumbstruck at our state to state address this year. And when I spoke with the AEA representatives and stuff, and the 6-figure salary, she doesn't know how to balance it. And our school districts have operated the last 2 years without even having a budget to go by. That cannot be, friends. That's not the way we operate. You and I couldn't get by for 2 years without paying our bills.
I was a public educator for 25 years of my life, and I appreciate that from an education standpoint. And I've been appalled. That's kind of why I got out of teaching, because I couldn't, the disrespect we were getting from the state just drove me crazy.
Well, Chris, back in my era, there were educators and stuff that wanted to go on to the legislature because we were so well respected
Right.
in the state of Iowa. The United States of America was coming to us.
Yep. Iowa was the cream of the crop.
We were doing education.
Yep.
We have lost that clout.
I know. And it's sad. We shouldn't have.
What happened?
So Carl, what
Combination.
board do you want?
I'm asking you, what do we need to do? Do we need to support each of these school districts and say, are you going to have a balanced budget? You can't do it. They have to do it. They have to how? Do we tell our governor, you're all wet? You ain't gonna fly.
I can't believe the schools they don't have to have a balanced budget.
Most certainly they have to have a balanced budget, Kevin, but they have operated the last 2 years blindsidedly without even knowing what their new money is going to be to create a budget.
It's supposed to be, the state's supposed to release the budget by 30 days after the State of the Union address, or State of the State address. And they've failed to do that the last 3 years in a row. They still haven't got the number out to the district yet. The district's budget was due last week to the state without that number.
Who's responsible at the state level for releasing that?
The legislature. Yeah.
Can I throw 2 cents worth in? You name the job I've done. Sheila knows we worked together at one time in our life. The 2 hardest jobs I ever did in my life. And I love beef, 240-pound quarters of beef for 12 hours in a packing plant. But the two hardest jobs I ever did was being a nurse aide and being a school teacher. And that was on the island of Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very, I joke with people, it was more dangerous for me to be in Jamaica than it was for me when I was in Vietnam. But teaching we should respect our teachers and we should pay them. And as I said at the school board meeting, I didn't take the deduction for being over 70 because I support public schools and I support teachers. And you have a lot on your plate, and it must be more frustrating for you than it is for me because you know what you have to do, but you aren't given the resources. And I'm talking about the board of supervisors.
Gentlemen, public education is where the money has to be funneled through first, because they are responsible to educate every child in the community. You can have private education, you can have homeschool, you can have parochial school, but along with that comes the choice of who they want to educate, and therefore they must pay a higher bracket to be a selective educator. But the money, I believe, needs to come through the public education first. And then it is dispersed out to the many opportunities. But the Iowa Association of School Board, back when Family Medical Leave Act and everything was developed and came to be public education, and we had many, many meetings. Jesse Jackson from California came and had many, many discussions of charter schools, private school, homeschooling, etc., where they were going to go, how people were going to do this. But even a homeschool parent utilizes the public resources in his community to involve their child in library, resource, opportunity to look for information, not just on their little piece of technology. You need to have interaction with others, sports playing, team playing, involvement. We have problems in our society today is because we don't know our fellow man.
Okay. Motion to go out of public hearing.
Is there anything else? Anybody else?
I'm married to Machka, and
Mary who?
Bomachka from Amana. A lot is talked about on the school. What I don't understand is how come the counties and the supervisors and the schools don't push back on the governor. She turned down how much federal money it was free offered. But now she wants to push it on us taxpayers to pay all those same bills that we could have got from the federal government for nothing. I'm sure it's called politics, but I'm sorry, when you got free federal money coming our way, why turn that down and then turn around and tax our citizens to the max?
I'd be curious of what the ties were to that free money.
It was to feed our children in schools for the most part.
Right, but the federal government doesn't give away money for free.
It's been ongoing for since COVID. That money's
But
been,
this last year, she
yeah.
refused the money.
This is the first year she refused it, I agree.
She refused the money, and I don't know why, because we have a lot of hungry.
And I can't get an answer.
children in
I've
school.
called different legislatures and later never got an answer from
And
anybody.
in light of the taxation problem, I've lived in my home for 42 years. I have not once had a level tax rate in 42 years. I've gone up. It may have been $50 or it may have been $500. But in 42 years, I have never seen a flat tax on my property. Now, is that to pay for county people? Is that to pay for schools? Is that to pay for our governor? What is that to pay for that we're constantly getting raised? And as you say, as a retiree, it's getting to the point you can't afford to live in your home.
The property taxes basically stay in the county. It pays for the schools, which is all, the levies are listed across the bottom. And they pay for the general services. We don't ship it to the state.
But it can't be happening in just Iowa County. It's gotta be happening statewide because of all of these things. You know, and we can't be giving up our associations, the AAs, and we can't be giving up these things that are helping our kids, you know, because public education is the ones that have to take the brunt of all of that. I'm a former board member, so I sat through this as well. And it's a sad situation. And I have a daughter who's a teacher, and she's an advocate for education. And it's really sad what's going on statewide, not just countywide, statewide. But if the supervisors don't push back to the state, where do we go?
Like I said, I've made lots of phone calls and I can't get any answers higher above me. I get treated just like a regular citizen would. And I don't know what else to do. I mean, I wrote letters.
I mean, it's unfortunate that this has to go on because, you know.
Gentlemen, I sat with my elbows on the table and Dean Borg, you remember him, the advocate that he was for the, you know, for the state of Iowa. And we saw to it that we had breakfast in the school so the child could have something in its stomach so it could sit down in the classroom and learn and not have his stomach growling sitting in his chair. And as Mrs. Machi said, we gave that $7,000 back.
Well,
And you gentlemen don't even know that we've had 3 years where we haven't even had a budget for education. You weren't aware of it. How is Mr. Citizen in the street corner going to work 8 hours a day supposed to know?
Wouldn't that be the school board's job to let people know instead of our job? We have no control of the schools.
We have to work together, Kevin.
I'm just saying, we have no control of the school. They don't come in here and say, we approve our budget. No, they tell us what they need and it's levied. We don't have an option to say no, more or less. I wish we would do it, but we don't. We have zero
Is
control.
every school district in the state of Iowa County levied at the same rate
No,
of taxation?
can't be. Because like,
Yeah,
again,
different bond issues.
different bond issues, different sizes of schools.
Different
Different,
school systems have a different value.
yes, I have farms in each district and they're both different. So
See,
I want to say Williamsburg's like an 11.1 and English Valley is like a 6.2. I could be wrong on that, but it was something like that.
We have bond issue votes that affects just that school district.
But John, the biggest thing is where our lack of communication is coming in. Clear Creek Amana passed their last bond issue and said it passed by simple majority, and less than 11% of the people went out to vote. Now, that's not telling your public it passed by simple majority.
Yeah, people gotta get out and vote.
But this is where I'm saying, guys, not everybody has kids, not everybody is paying attention. You get the bigger mass of the bodies, they don't have to know, they just flip out their card. But that's not educating our community. And our governor can't come up there and make a State of the Union address to her state saying she can give out a 6-figure salary and she can balance, because she cannot balance her budget. She cannot balance that 6-figure salary. You call her up and ask her to balance it to you. She cannot.
So talking about the counties pushing back on the state, we do have members here that are involved in the Iowa State Association of Counties, ISAC. So we meet multiple times a year with other supervisors from other counties. And we try to stay organized and try to present what we as counties want for us from the state. Now, we don't win every one of those battles, obviously, because we have to coordinate with our state senators, our representatives. So there is action behind the scenes that you probably don't see, where we're trying to coordinate, with the property taxes, with multiple things. I think Abby was our most recent participant in one of these meetings in Des Moines, so.
Did you have a question back there in the back? I had seen your hand up.
Yes, I did. And it involves rural and town. I have to agree, us seniors are having a hard time to stay in our homes. Even if we're married, with both of us having that. When you're working yet, you're gonna be retired. Wait till you get your Social Security. When we were working, thank God, when we had our house built and had the old one tore down, we made sure we made triple payments on it and had it paid off before we retired. Well, here we sit now, and everything keeps going up and up and up, and I see more and more having to sell their homes because they can't stay in the home they worked so hard to keep. If one of us dies, our home's gotta be gone. That's the way it is. And it's not right for senior citizens to have to go through this. Enough is enough. It's hard enough for the regular person that is not senior citizen yet to keep their head above water anymore with the prices of everything, including insurance and that, which is totally ridiculous going up.
20%.
And now with the schools, I have to say, the Iowa schools, I think, are darn good schools compared to Illinois, California, with all this woke stuff they're throwing into these kids. I think Iowa's got the best teachers. That's just my opinion. I was raised in Chicago. I was born here. I was raised in Chicago, and I can tell you personally what the schools are like in Chicago. But the way things are, the schools need more help. I agree. But we need something done so us senior citizens can stay in our homes. There are states out there that when you reach 65, there are states out there, when you reach 65, you pay just half your taxes.
The state passed a law, there's no more retirement income tax on state income. So that will help with that, not going to reduce property taxes.
No, it won't.
And people who are on fixed incomes, they can't just keep, what do? They keep raising it. Our fixed income doesn't keep going up.
This is that we're outpacing
And-
inflation.
Supposedly, the letter I wrote to Des Moines, I did get a response back from one of the people up there that this is supposed to be looked at next year. We'll see. That they're working on the way the insurance is coming up and keeps going up and that. They got a lot on their plate. Okay, all right, I'll go along with that. I want to see what happens next year if that's really going to happen. Because this has got to stop. It's got to stop. No senior citizens, none of us, need to give up what we worked so hard all our life, because you can't make it. You can't make it anymore.
I'm with you.
I said enough.
I totally get it. I'm with you. And that's one of the reasons why I ran a supervisor to help try to keep our taxes down, make sure that we've got the services provided and still do it intelligently in a business-like manner. There's some services we have to have. We have to have that ambulance. We have to have that deputy driving down the C road on an emergency, we have to support those services, and those services continue to increase in cost. An ambulance cost $90,000 15 years ago, it's $300,000 now. And that's if you can even get online, get in order to get a new one because they're so backed up.
We gotta wait over a year to get one.
So I'm with you. I totally get it. And I empathize with you on what you're saying. And I don't have the answer for you. A lot of these mandates, again, I'm gonna turn around and point, it's coming in that direction.
Yeah. I got one more question,
Okay.
which has nothing to do with that. Our wind turbines. How do they benefit us on electricity bills and everything that keeps going up and up and up? I know how they're, I know you're getting money, great, and money's going here and money's going here. But is that electricity coming back here to us, or is it going out of the state?
Let's just speak.
That's not right.
I believe it leaves, does it not, Kevin?
No, it goes to the point of least resistance.
Okay.
Stays in Iowa.
Yeah,
Citgo buy the majority of the wind turbines. Citgo is a co-op of all the rural electric co-ops. You get a bill that says your co-op has so much wind power. The wind turbine is generated AC equipment, AC electricity. It don't go far without losing. If it goes out of state, it's DC. So
Okay.
AC stays local, and so whatever's here could be just very local.
I was just curious because every year the electricity goes up and I'm like, okay, we got all these wind turbines, what's going on? You basically see my point.
Cost of copper.
So that's what you understand.
Okay, I'm done.
Was the ambulance, was that a new ambulance, or was that, was that a new ambulance that was needed, or?
I was just making an example, that's what they cost
Okay.
now.
We didn't get one
Well,
this
you
year.
had to wait over a year.
You do, so when we think one's gonna go back, the miles are so high, we have to order like a year in advance. So we'll budget an ambulance in two or three different years so it's not also.
So there'll be a carryover for that specific department that's targeted, correct, for that fund.
So we don't ask for 300,000 that year, it's like 75,000 in 3 years or whatever it works out.
In order to help you enhance the education equation, the school districts also supervisors, you must encourage school districts to have a physical plant and equipment in their budget. They have to be looking at buying school buses every year to transport their fleet of students to and from their buildings, as you say, with the idea of replacing that bus in a year or two to keep their fleet up
So definitely something.
and bring their bodies to their building. There are districts that do not always have that.
Okay, is there any other comments?
For the next time one of these is held, could it be held when more people would be able to attend that aren't having to work during the day?
There's always that possibility. To be honest, I've done this for I don't know how many years. This is by far the largest crowd we've ever had. This is my fourth.
It's kind of subject driven, I think.
I think it is too.
So,
I just think if it was a
so I'm not
time
discouraging from
when
showing up that
vacation day.
usually nobody's ever showed up, to be honest.
We just moved, so.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just fine, but
Can we
we weren't prepared.
Can we do one in the evenings? Is that possible to do one in the
Not
evenings?
anymore this year.
Okay.
But maybe for
Yeah.
next time, just.
Because the state regulates this has to be done this day, this has to be done this day to get everything turned in. That's why we're on an odd day this week instead of doing it on a Friday.
I just thought later in the day, like after work.
No, I get that, but I'm saying this year we're already messed up kind of. In order to get it done, we're on a timeline of.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're saying next March,
Okay.
we'll be able to do it, or next
This day,
April.
Then in 2 weeks you have to have this done, and you have to have that done. It's all got to go in sequence.
Okay.
It's very hinged on publications for the newspaper, which isn't always the easiest to.
Well, and being the first year you've had to do it, I'm sure there was some hiccups along the way figuring the whole system out.
And it's a whole new different deal setting out the notices like they have to send them out now. We never used to have to do that.
Well, and I appreciate that, what the intent was as far as being informed on what the money is being spent on, what the tax rates are gonna be, instead of just a surprise, here's your new levy rate.
The only bad thing is what it costs, like $6,000. $6,000 to send them out. I know you want to be informed, but I wish we could find a cheaper way of doing it.
Yeah.
But we need the transparency.
So I'm not discouraging, it's just an
Well,
expense.
and, you know, when I looked at it, and I thought, well, even if everything had stayed the same, you know, from looking at the current rate to the effective rate, if everything had stayed the same, there still would have been an increase. But it wouldn't have been an additional increase, everything could have just stayed the same rate, and there still would have been more taxes coming in. So that's why I want, you know. So the majority of the county money being spent on roads and bridges? I mean, I know a chunk of it goes to the school, the 14+% going to the schools.
14%.
Huh?
Did you say 14%?
Well, no, excuse me, $14 of the levy rate, you know, it's more like 55 or 60%.
Yeah, it's gonna say it's closer to 60%.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I meant misspoke, I meant the tax rate.
Okay.
Is the next largest than the roads and the bridges?
Salaries, just overall,
Salaries,
yep,
okay.
that's a huge amount.
Salaries and benefits.
Mhm.
I had a question about, where does the tax, do we get any of the tax on the 10 cents a gallon that was on the gasoline? Where does that go? Does it go to the state?
I don't know what percent, so when you pay at the pump, it all goes to the state, and the state filters it back, and it's population based.
Oh, okay. I just wondered.
So each town that they take their population, I'll point of view. And then Amana is special, so you have to figure out there's arbitrary city limits, so they also get it. And they have their Amana road use fund. So
But it is coming back in for what it was designed.
I don't know, I can't tell you.
Portion of it.
Yeah, I can't tell you if we get it all back, if some, I'm guessing some might be skimmed off, but I can't say that.
Oh, okay, I'm just curious.
So if we're getting charged 10 cents, do we get the full 10 or do we get only like 8? I don't know. It's whatever the state wants to give us back.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Go out of public hearing.
Go on to public hearings.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
I'm an aye.
Now we need to, next public hearing? Is that right?
No, it's not a public hearing. We just need to set the public hearing for the next, for the budget.
So are we done with this here?
Do I need to switch meetings then?
Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned from this meeting.
Okay.